Hey, what is up guys? It's your boy Speed here, and today we're going to be doing an analysis of OB Neon Palos' Phantom Assassin. He went 6-1 in this game, absolutely owned, and I just want to talk about kind of like what you're looking for in a PA game to absolutely dominate. And let's get into it. By the way guys, if you want to become absolutely broken, well, what you need to do is sign up to the GameLeap website down below right now. The reason why you should do that is because every single day we post a new video there. Content that you simply just will never get on YouTube, we post every single day to the website. It's really top tier stuff. I'm very proud of what I make over there. We also have other creators, many of my great friends who are top tier Dota players, creating guides about different heroes, different roles, different items, skill builds, talent builds, everything you need to know to get to the next rank. So if you feel a little bit lost, you're a little bit stuck, click the link down below. I'll see you guys there. And now let's get into the video. All right, the first thing I'm going to cover, just take 30 seconds to do this, is the drafting phase. They picked it in response to a Rubik, Queen of Pain, and Doom. And on their team, they had an OD, Lion, Enchantress, and PA. The first thing I think is most important, which is the Enchantress. When you're playing PA, I think it's very important to have a Vision hero and a good laner, and Enchantress provides both of that. The reason why Vision is good is in team fights, if you see people, you explode them, so the Enchantress creep can provide vision of a low armor Quap or Rubik, and that lets PA jump. And on top of that, PA needs a good lane. She needs to get off to a good start, and she's one of the best laners in Dota. It's actually a fantastic lane with PA because Orb of Corrosion, the minus armor with Ench and her creep, is also really broken. So I love this draft here. One thing that's a little bit unorthodox that Palos does is he actually goes Orb of Venom to start the lane. He goes 3 Tangos, Quelling Blade, 2 Branches, and Orb of Venom, and this actually nets him first blood in a moment here. The only reason why I think this is potentially a good idea here, so you guys don't grief for games with Orb of Venom PA, is he's once again laning with an Enchantress. On top of that, Doom and Rubik is a very weak lane early on. Doom also skilled Devour, which means he's completely worthless, and as a result, having an Orb of Venom against a Fade Bolt and a Devour makes you have a lot of kill threat. So PA hits level 2 here, and all it takes is a Blink Strike, because it has higher cast range than Dagger, a Blink Strike into Dagger, and they kill Bobica. The next thing I want to note is that he actually goes Treads over Corrosion in this lane. In fact, the item that he rushed was the Band of Elven Skin. I'll quickly show you guys. I said this in a recent video. A lot of you guys apparently didn't know this. This builds into Treads, right? You can use any of the +6 stat items to build into Treads. But that's what you do here, and the reason for that is it gives you the ability to last hit, it gives you 1 armor, it's really good for the lane. Now, he's going Treads, and I think the reason why this makes sense over Corrosion here is, number one, Doom is a very high armor hero. So, which sounds funny, because Doom in the past was like strictly known as a very low armor hero, but everyone kind of has to update their mindset, because Doom got buffed where he has 5 base armor, and with phase boots, he has 9 armor. On top of that, Ench has a Blightstone, so you don't really need it here. On top of that, it's going to allow him to get to his Battle Fury much faster. You have to keep in mind, Corrosion's pretty expensive, so if you're laning with something like Undying and it's going to get you a bunch of kills, by all means, pick it up. It's good. However, against high armor heroes, where it doesn't do nearly as much, and, you know, where it's going to delay your treads, I definitely think this is the better option, so I like what he does here. I think it's a good mentality to have. Briefly continuing on with item build, then we'll get into a bit of macro play. He actually goes for the Broadsword and then a Clarity. I do want you guys to note that Clarities are very important on PA. People often see these like Agi heroes as heroes that would never buy Clarities, and the reason for that is because, well, they see them as right-clickers, right? Not heroes that cast spells. However, the thing is, PA is very reliant on her W to farm, and has a very poor mana pool, so make sure you buy the occasional Clarity when you're building up to your Battle Fury. If you don't, you're actually going to slow down your Battle Fury timing, and you're going to deny a lot of XP from yourself. Now, getting into macro play, the main thing you want to do as PA, just in general, is stay in the lane as long as humanly possible. Now, I specifically said that's what you want to do, and that is why having a lane dominator is the best option for Phantom Assassin. Because if you win your lane, you can stay in your lane. He has a 2-level advantage on the Doom, his Lesh is chain ganking the bottom lane, and they are enabling the Phantom Assassin to basically AFK here and just sit this bottom portion of the map. That's what you want. You don't want to take Ancients, you don't want to roam, you don't want to move around the map. Yes, you can TP into dives, right? You can TP into, for instance, he's actually looking top. You can see him shifting his camera to top here. He's considering it, but for the most part, the gist is stay in the bottom lane, clean up this camp. I think this ward's fantastic, by the way. If you can get your support to place a ward here, and you can Blink Strike up the hill for a bit more efficiency, even Blink Strike from here to this camp through the trees, it's really, really nice. So that's another little efficiency play. And of course, you can even buy your own ward. It's free, guys. You can buy your own ward. Yeah, as you can see, he's going to shift down. over to the small camp, actually doesn't farm it, wants to get the lane creeps because they're going under his tower, and he's going to have a ridiculously early Battle Fury timing here, crazy. On top of that, he actually goes both of the DPS items. This is once again only because he's free farming. If you have a hard lane and you need the Ring of Health, buy the Ring of Health. Next, let's get into his first major rotation of the game. This nets him 3 kills here, and most players, they would have ganked at this point. They would have made a move and griefed him. But he stayed in his lane, okay, continuing to farm, and he sees the mid dive. I say this in all my carry videos, but I have to repeat it once again. This is what you're looking for. You're looking for 2 things. You want to fight at a tower, and you want your teammates to get initiated on. So you have to have a lot of patience. He'll TP in here, and you're going to notice he's going to have to wait to jump until someone else gets initiated on. So, as you can see here, OD goes for the Meteor Hammer. OD knows that this can be cancelled. The enemy team has a Rubik. He does it anyway, and this is because he wants to bait Aster in. He wants them to fight deep under the tower. And as you'll see, Meteor Hammer actually goes off, which is... oh man, you hate to see it. And that's his time to jump. Low attention on the PA, obviously a really nice Meteor Hammer that he can follow up. Now he's able to clean up the Rubik into the Snapfire, and eventually they even chase down the Bloodseeker, which was actually crazy to me. I didn't think they were going to chase this, but the cast range on Blink Strike is crazy. Even without the talent, it's really so far. And yeah, that's a 13-minute Battle Fury right there, ladies and gentlemen. 100 CS in minute 13 with 2 kills and 5 assists. It doesn't get much better than that. And yeah, that's why you really want a lane dominator, and you want to be very patient on your ganks. Only 1 gank in 13 minutes, and you saw how he planned it out. A lot of patience, waits for his team to get gone on, and then cleans up. Next, let's briefly discuss when you should use Blur on waves and when you shouldn't. In this upcoming clip here, they just killed the Bloodseeker. They took a Roshan fight. He just lost the Aegis, and he's pushing to the top side of the map. Blur is up in 1 second, and he's had no vision of the enemy team. This is when you want to pop your Blur. He doesn't really know where they are, and it's very important that in a situation like this, you use Blur. And it's particularly good because let's say here like Rubik wanted to jump him, the Rubik would literally have to go melee range, right, to jump him, to pop the Blur. Which would basically give the PA time to react and potentially even turn the fight. So those are the situations where you would want to Blur. However, you can see this bottom gank happens. If that bottom gank had happened 30 seconds earlier and he saw it, he wouldn't use Blur. He would just hold it and save it. Blur is a ridiculously valuable spell, and most players just don't really understand it. I mean, pretty easy to understand why you would use it for pushing in waves, but the bigger portion of it is actually for fights. You want to use it as well to just close the gap, find targets, and the smoke doesn't pop right away so you can get a clean jump. Next, let's take a look at one of Palos' team fights. So his team smokes up, this is on his BKB timing, and whenever you get your BKB timing, this is basically the signal to jump the backline. What a lot of people do wrong on PA, and I'll play the clip, but what a lot of people do wrong on PA is they jump the backline previous to actually being able to jump the backline. Wow, what a beautiful jump. Man, the cleave on the 2, super nice. What I mean by that is when you have Deso or just BKB, people will still look at PA as this hero that has to jump the backline. It's like, oh, if I don't jump the backline, I'm not playing PA. It's like, oh, I'm playing Slark, I have to go on the backline. No, you don't. In fact, most of the time, if you go on the backline as these 2,000, 1,500 HP heroes, you know, now he's pretty tanky, he's got a Sanjin Yash and a BKB. But if you jump the backline as these heroes before you can, usually you're gonna die. The next thing I'd like to discuss is the late purchase of Deso here. I think a lot of people look at Deso the wrong way, especially on PA. They see this item as only an item you can buy if you get it very early on. And that's not true. The thing about PA is like, there really isn't a better alternative DPS item. You can't buy Daedalus, and Daedalus would be what people would buy if, you know, she didn't already have a crit. You might be like, oh, what about MKB? Well, MKB doesn't really let you burst people. It's not a bad item, but if you look at the cost, right? So MKB is almost 5,000 gold. Deso is significantly less, 1,500 gold less, so it is a much earlier timing. For instance, if they're about to take a fight here, which it looks like they are, he wouldn't have the MKB. He would just have a portion. That would be a huge detriment to this upcoming fight. On top of that, it works very well with the 3 armor corruption talent, right? Because the lower armor they go, the better. So it stacks. And yeah, it's just a good timing. 55 damage and lowering their armor by 6. It's a very quick timing on PA, and that's generally what you want. You don't want to go for some mega DPS item, because this hero majorly comes online right now. Her timing from minute 20 to minute 35 is typically when she's the strongest, and Deso plays best around that timing, especially when they don't have evasion heroes. Alright, we got about 3 more minutes in this game, so let's just watch it together and take out whatever we can. First fight, breaking out. I think he actually makes a bit of a mistake here. I don't know if he knew this at the time. but he's picking the Rubik, and he jumps him. Now, Rubik has a Ghost Scepter. To be fair, his Ench is kind of in the area, so maybe he expected it to get purged, right? Because Enchantress can purge Ghost Scepter with her enchant ability. That's how it works. However, she wasn't in range. It's a very, very low range, so it did take a while for her to be able to get that off. Thankfully, Lion was able to get the kill. Now he has to go in. He has to pop BKB as late as humanly possible, which he does very well here. Basically waits till the last second possible. Doesn't panic. The enemy team doesn't really have instant disables. The only one they do have is Doom. However, he saw the Doom at the time, so, you know, he's chilling. Gets his BKB off and is able to turn. Right, biggest thing here, honestly, to really give his team some props here is PA's biggest problem is she gets kited and dealt with pretty easily when she doesn't have BKB, right? She has a hard time going in and out, which sounds weird because she has Blink Strike, but it's kind of what it is. And so the Enchantress heals her up a ton here, and then OD was able to come in with the Astral, save him with the Shard, and allow him to kite out on the back half here. Even gets out of range of the Doom, cleans up the Quap. Well, actually, he didn't clean up the Quap. He kind of just took the gank there. He tanked all the spells, cleaned up the Rubik, and set up the fight for his team. But the big thing I want you guys to take out of that clip is setting up fights late game. When you have Blur, you're the best late game hero in the game for like whatever period of time that is, right? Because it's like a 0 range smoke. I don't think people realize that. It's a 600 radius. Like, I don't even know, what is another example of a 600 radius spell? It's really small, guys. For instance, this splitter, right, is 265 radius, and that's pretty small, right? It's like this mini circle. It's only double that. It's like this. You barely ever will jump PA first in the late game. So what does that mean to you? It should mean that you should be getting the jump as PA, right? You are the vision hero for your team in the late game a lot of the time, especially when your team doesn't have one. Now, they do have the Ench, but at the same time, you know, Ench creeps, they're kind of a dead giveaway for jumping the enemy team at this point of the game, so you have to be a little bit weary about that. And so hopefully that makes sense. Abuse Blur, especially if you have Aegis. Please, if you have Aegis, right? Run around with Blur and look for pickoffs. However, you do need to make sure your team is kind of in the area. Another mistake people make when they hear what I just said is they'll kind of hunt for the backline. They'll have their Aegis, they have their Blur going, but their team is top, they're bottom, they jump and they feed. Yeah, he cleans up the fight here. You can see the Deso putting in work. So much damage when you can actually hit people. And yeah, that's the beauty of Phantom Assassin. The hero hits a really hard timing from this minute 20, depending on how farmed you are, 25 to 35 minute mark. You really want to abuse that. Force the Roshans. They've Roshan twice this game already. Actually, was it 3 times? It was at least twice that I watched. And so yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace. And that's all, but remember, before you leave, come on, before you tune out, subscribe to the GameLeap website, where we are going to help you get to the next rank. If you're stuck, click the link down below, and I'm out. Peace.